my name is Surtr, and today I'm gonna go over all of the ships that I've tested in level 4 security missions, and there's about 109 of those ships in Evoline. So it is a massive tier list, and I'm gonna try to get them all done today. So it's probably gonna take a few hours, an hour or two. For anybody coming in, any feedback is appreciated. So without further ado, let me actually get started. So my first thing is I have a few rules and conditions for this testing. So these ships have all been tested under special conditions. They're all tested for solo level 4 security missions. Solo. Most ships work in groups. So they're also based on my personal testing as an objective. As objective as possible. I have been doing this for the last 6 to 8 months. It has been extensively tested for every ship. The fits are not perfect, so it's possible that it's a bit better. So there we go, it is as objective as possible. The fits that I have made and tested for them are also a reasonable price, meaning that I didn't fly a 5 billion Ferox Navy issue just to make it a little better, for example. I just flew it as affordable and cost efficient as possible. Another thing is there were no more than 3 warpouts. So a warpout is when your tank is about to break and you need to just get out because the ship isn't or not good enough, or it cannot break the enemy. Last but not least, no implants. This is a big one, because implants can skew the test, can make every stat on your ship different. There's a whole bunch of sets. If you're short on anything and you're basically, or you want to min-max a little bit and you have the cash, check out implants. They will fix a lot of your problems. Alert zo'n werker. Dio. So none of these apply to burner missions, because burner missions require their own fits and their own special flights. Almost all of them will work in group. But so the D tier, in the D tier, F tier, the F for fail, just cannot do this. I will switch to normal settings after this is done, which may take a while. My own screen hangs up, but okay, so the first one, the lowest one, would be the... so many ships, Stormbringer. So the Stormbringer, the reason I put that in the fail tier is a very good reason. Has anybody checked the actual maximum DPS you can get on a Stormbringer? It does not break all mission rats. It's too low. The tank is okay. It's a good ship. I personally actually love that ship. But solo is a key word here. It just doesn't work. Solo, it cannot run level 4s. And that is the only ship in the F tier, the only ship that essentially fails at level 4s solo. The next one is, of course, the D tier. Also within each tier, I'm not gonna rank them all in exact power order, because that would require probably another year of testing. And I don't know, there's so many ships, and what is really, it's more of a general feel, essentially. Are is hard to fly, good ships, good tank, that general feeling. So let me go for the first command ship of the line, which would be so many ships. Come on, Amar, where are you? The Damnation. Now, the Damnation is a ship that I personally like. I've flown it a lot in the past. Now, this thing has a good tank. Unfortunately, it lacks the DPS. So even though this is D tier, this thing can run level 4s. but you're gonna have trouble with it, as in it's gonna take you an age. Where it would take an hour with a normal ship, it will probably take 2 hours with a domination, if not 3. It will survive, it will do it. I've tried with heavy assault missiles, but the domination is also slow. So low DPS plus slow means that, yeah, the domination is just slow. It's a solid ship. The next ship that I have is the Tech 1 battlecruiser. Also on the Mars ship, the Harbinger. I would also rank that in D. For the simple reason that the Harbinger is squishy. I've tried the pulse fit with this, I almost died in it. The only way I could bring a Harbinger to work is basically beam lasers and a jump drive on it. Because this thing really, when they get to you, this thing does not tank very much. In level 4s, that is. If you go level 3s, take this ship, it shines. As with most Tech 1 battlecruisers in level 3s, they are at their best there. So, squishy, sniper, not advised low skills for level 4s. Next up, I have the also MR battlecruiser, the Oracle. So the Oracle is a sniper. This thing does not tank very well, especially level 4s. It has no drones, no way to deal with frigates. And that means that large battleship-sized guns, they don't track very well. So you want to be at range, you have to fit a jump drive. And you're a sniper, you need skills for this. The next one would be the Caldari Ferox battlecruiser. Take 1. Same as a Harbinger. It is a bit of a sniper. It does not have a big tank. Probably shines at level 3s as well. There's not much that needs to be said about the Ferox. I like the ship, it's a good ship, but it just doesn't run level 4s very well. Beyond that, we have the Naga. So the Naga, similar to the Oracle, is an attack battlecruiser. Large guns, needs a jump drive, needs to be at range. Gotta be fair, this one is my favorite out of these two. The Naga has excellent range, looks cool, and it's a fantastic sniper. But don't try the Naga with low skills, that's my advice. Next up, we have the only electronic warfare ship in the game, the Scorpion. The reason I put this in D tier is DPS. This thing has absolutely low DPS. The only bonuses it gets are for ECM. You can put a reasonable tank on it, not super, but the DPS is just low. Then again, it's the only EWAR battleship in game. And then we have another Tech 1 battlecruiser, which would be the Hurricane. Now, the Hurricane is fantastic at level 3s, similar to the Ferox and the Harbinger. There's a team here. The Hurricane is a fantastic artillery platform for level 4s. You need a jump drive, and afterburner I also put on there for some limited mobility, but a micro-warp drive would kill this thing because it would bloom the signature too high. This thing does not have a lot of tank, you need a little bit of skill with the guns for artillery to make them work. So the Hurricane is not advised for newer people for level 4s. But you can do it, it's slow and painful, but you can do it. Next up is the first pirate ship of the line, the Ashimo. Now the Ashimo has recently been buffed with 5 medium drones. Previously it could only launch 4. So it's a little bit better, but the Ashimo's tank and defenses are not great. Its DPS output is okay. So it does not tank that well. Again, you can do it, but I would advise skills involved in this one. Don't fly this again as a new player. And then we have, for me, a surprise, the Cinnaball. Initially, I had the Cinnaball in F tier, because I tested the Cinnaball in the Mars space in the beginning, and I had 3 wipeouts. I took it to Mimar space and I took another look at it because I hate to fail the Cinnaball. It has a DPS, it has a decent tank, maybe not enough tank for all of the missions, but you can warp out, but you know, don't die, make sure you get out in time. This thing only has enough DPS with autocannons, and with autocannons you need to go close. Again, Cinnaball, don't fly with low skills. That's my advice. And with that, we go over to the C tier. That's where the better ships start to come at. So C tier, I have a attack battlecruiser, the Talos. The Talos. Now, the reason the Talos is in C tier and not D tier is the fact that besides one that actually has a decent tank, the ability to fit a decent tank, it gets light drones. And those light drones are the exception, that's the only one that gets them. So if frigates get too close, you still have your light drones. That's a big modifier. I've tried about 5 hits for the Talos. I've shield tanked this with blasters and rails. It's possible, but I would go rails if you shield tank. With blasters, armor tank blasters are a lot of fun with this thing. But for blasters, I would suggest higher skill points. Or, well, more skills in relevant stuff. With the rails you can get away with a bit lower skills and a bit more leniency, but the other attack battlecruiser that I put in C tier was the Minmatar one. The Tornado. Yeah, I have to go down each time because there's so many ships. The Tornado is usually used for other purposes, like snap-on gates and other places. Now, I have 2 fits for the Tornado. The artillery fit doesn't track anything, but if you use a jump drive and you stay at range, you snipe, then you can do it. It's gonna take a little bit longer than with the autocannon fit, which can have a bit more tank on it, not much, but again, jump drive to get out, afterburner to get around. Autocannons, I would say best used at medium range because they're still battleship weapons. Same with the Talos, Oracle and Naga. The Talos is, the Tornado is a fun one to fly. It was frustrating during testing because obviously I tried a bunch of different things. Not everything works. So the next ship in the C tier would be the Harbinger Navy issue, which is here. So this thing, I would argue, is a Harbinger with upgrades. Special, right? It's a straight up upgrade. It does the exact same thing, essentially, but better. Slightly better tank, slightly better damage, slightly better mobility even. Now, this thing, because it's basically a cookie cutter upgrade from the Harbinger, does a bit better, but still does not face tank that well. I would suggest this one still as a sniper with beams. Or solo. It's just better at it. Now, the next ship that I'm putting in the C tier would be a Tech 1 battlecruiser, an MR Tech 1 battlecruiser, the Prophecy. The Prophecy essentially is a ship that has a good drone bay, one of the weirdest drone flights I've seen in game. Like best TPS distribution for the Prophecy is 2 heavies, 2 mediums, 1 light. Yeah, have to literally arrange them in groups and launch them as a flight if you want to use your full bandwidth and optimal DPS setup. You can also just launch 3 heavies, but that's going to do a lot lower DPS actually. Now the Prophecy has a decent tank. I would use it as a kiter. And I put rapid light missiles on this thing because when the frigates get close, the drones may not always be around and you only have one light drone out and it's a bit weird. So you can just take care of them with the rapid lights. In this case I would very much advise rapid lights for that reason. It's armor tank by the way, in case you don't know. Harbinger Navy armor tank, Harbinger armor tank, Oracle armor tank. So, the next ship, let's stick with Amar for now. Apocalypse. The reason I put the Apocalypse in C tier is it is fairly squishy. It does not face tank very well. It has decent DPS for a battleship, but its role really shines as a sniper. The Apocalypse is a really good sniper, so you can most definitely run level 4 missions very well with this. Just make sure you don't get caught by any frigates, and that's why I put a jump drive on it, because that happened to me multiple times. And jump drive and afterburner, because when you put a micro warp drive on this, you only want to activate it every now and then when you're not getting hit, because it blooms your signature, and this thing does not have the tank to respond to that. Good laser skills, good armor tanking skills, good capacitor skills are best for this one. Now, the other Amar battleship in the C tier would be one that I would never ever advise anybody to run level 4 missions with, and that would be the Black Ops, the Redeemer. Like, this thing is reasonable. It's very expensive. As an armor tank, you need very good capacitor skills for this. I use it as a sniper, because again, fairly weak tank. Plus it's super expensive, you do not want to brawl in this thing. In PvE, for solo missions. Yeah, not advised, the Redeemer, but it's still C tier because it can still do it. Okay. C tier I consider acceptable, decent. B tier I consider good. A tier I consider really good. And S is Marauder, or super good. Now, when I say a lot of skills, I always mean relevant to the ship. Am I disconnected? What's going on in my stream? Oh, I was just Twitch acting up. Okay. As long as it's still going, it's good. Yeah, still going. Okay, perfect. I'm only getting started. Look at these ships. The first Eldari battlecruiser here would be Ferox Navy issue. Now, the Ferox Navy issue I would have kind of put in B tier before, but the reason I dropped it down to C tier is because the range of it did get nerfed a lot. It is still a fairly good medium range ship. It can run the ship okay, the mission okay. It is not that tanky. It does have very good DPS output, but it got relegated to medium range, not long range, so it's not really a sniper anymore. It does not face tank as it should. That's why it's here. For the Ferox Navy issue, I would suggest a few decent skills at least for the pilot, medium skill level. Now, the other one I put in the B tier, C tier, sorry, would be the Drake. The regular good old Drake. The reason for that is actually very simple. The DPS is not that high, tank is really good. Although in the heaviest of level 4 missions, this thing can still fail you, depending on skills. But it can run all the missions, it can do it. You may have to warp out once. Skills are terrible, maybe twice, but it can do it. It can break everything. Drake I have tested with a passive shield tank and with an active shield tank. Heavy assault missiles and micro hard drive even. It's possible, but for the active fits you need more skills. The next battle cruiser that is a surprise to me is a command ship, and I should look at the bottom here, would be the Vulture. Now, the Vulture really is a weird ship. It has a very good tank. It has tech to resist. Can fit a double command link. Has definitely decent capacitor, but its damage sucks. So, because its damage is so bad, I had to put it in C tier. So, I guess maybe it would be about the same level as a Ferox Navy issue. It's debatable. And the next ship would be the first Galante on the list. And that would be the Hyperion. Yeah. A very strange looking ship, both in the looks and in the fitting. Because this thing is a jack of all trades, master of none. It can launch. It has a very high amount of drone bay. You can launch a full flight of sentries with it, I believe. But it does not, in PvE, face tank enough to go in with blasters. So you also want to put rails on it. It also has bonuses for railguns, for hybrid turrets. The fitting makes it a bit strange, like it's annoying to fit the Hyperion. It took me 3 times of coming back to the Hyperion after getting frustrated with trying the fits before I figured out a fit that actually works properly solo. Again, in group, fine. Not advised for new people, the Hyperion, if you fly solo. If you fly in group, none of that applies. So the other one in C tier, I would put the basic Brutix. Now, remember, C tier is decent, it's not bad. So Brutix is a hybrid gun battle cruiser. It is a Tech 1 hull, Tech 1 resists. It is not super high damage, it has decent damage output, it has a decent tank. So for a new player, if you want to take any battlecruiser hull, Tech 1, and get into missions, I would probably suggest or the Brutix or the Myrmidon. The Myrmidon is even better, honestly, because of the drones and kiting ability. It does not rely on gun tracking. So next up, similar to the Harbinger Navy issue, we have the Hurricane Fleet issue. The Hurricane Fleet issue is a straight up upgrade from the Hurricane. It just does the same, but better. With a bit more tank, a bit more mobility, and a bit more DPS. This thing is a little bit more forgiving, but still, I would strongly suggest only using this as a sniper. Because still, it does not face tank a whole level 4 mission. Which is why I still put a jump drive on this thing and use this sniper. Now, the next one is a surprise to me, would be the Broadsword. The Broadsword is a heavy interdiction cruiser, so it is technically not meant for PvE. It does not have any light runs, but it has a very good tank and tech to resist. I fit this one with autocannons and it blasts through the missions. Now, why is this C tier? Very simple, it's autocannons and you don't have drones. You have to travel, you have to go in close, and it has a high skill requirement being a heavy interdiction cruiser. It has a DPS, it does not have the utility. But it's a great ship, it's fun to fly, honestly. Next up I have the Cyclone. Tech 1 battlecruiser, decent DPS, decent tank, decent mobility. It's honestly it's decent at everything really. It's not great, it's just decent, but again, tier 1 battlecruiser, simple ship, tier 1 resists. Now, the one that surprised me as well would be its equivalent command ship. Where is it? Well, Claymore. The Claymore, similar to the Vulture, decent tank. The Vulture is still a better tank, but Claymore is more mobile. Good capacitor, ability to fit 2 command links. It's just the DPS output is low. I did not expect this when I went into testing with this ship. I expected this ship to be a lot better, essentially. Now, the next one would be the first pirate cruiser on the list. Stratios. So, the Stratios is meant for exploration. It's an excellent cover-tops exploration cruiser. It is probably one of the best in its class for that. But it's a mostly, usually armor-tanked drone laser platform. So, the reason this is here is for its kiting ability and the fact that it can launch a sizable drone bay. So, you basically kite around, shoot stuff that chases you with the lasers, and let your drones do the heavy lifting. Not a super good tank. You may have to warp out in the heavy missions when a lot of stuff is on you. But warp out in time, don't wait. The next one would be the Orthrus. So the Orthrus should be somewhere in the list. Right here, okay. Now the Orthrus is similar to the Stratios, a good kiter. It's this one with heavy assault missiles. It had to go in a little too close for comfort, so I switched to heavy missiles, and those are fine. It has a good DPS with heavy missiles, excellent kiting ability, can tank quite well when kiting, very mobile. I would say medium skills. It's doable. It's not the best one. It can still break when caught by a lot of frigates in a very heavy mission, but this thing gets light drones, so it can to a degree take care of them. Plus heavy missiles with, if you take precisions, deal quite well with frigates. Because this thing has a bonus to its missile velocity, so your missiles will arrive on target really fast, and that's nice, because that's usually the downside of missiles. The next one is one of my favorite ships, and yes, I had to rank him in the C tier again, because the Thunder Chicken, the Thunder Child, is fantastic in group, in fleet, but it sucks in solo. Like in solo, it is just C tier with high skills. I would suggest high skills with the ship and the weaponry. It can run a level 4 mission decent. It has well over 400 DPS with high skills. This just gets better the more ships are in the fleet or the more Thunder Chickens fly with it. It's fun to fly because, again, the photon projector arcs to 10 targets and you can make whole flights disappear with one button. It's satisfying. But single target DPS sucks. Now, the last one, I'm gonna make sure I don't forget any. No, it's not the last one. There's another one. The Galdari heavy assault cruiser, if I can find it. The Eagle. The Eagle, I had a lot of fun with the blaster, the shield blaster fit. For the blaster fit, I would say high skills required. Very, very active gameplay. Make sure you kill frigates and more piloting time if needed. Because but it's very, very fun to do. The way I would suggest to fly the Eagle though is as a sniper with rails. Kite around, lap it with rails. You do get a small flight of drones to take care of frigates. It's not a lot, but best case you don't even let them get to you. Take 2 resist, heavy assault cruiser, decent ship. The last one for the C tier is a line of ships that I personally find really ugly. But if you're a new player, you're absolutely gonna fucking love these ships. Looking for it. Look at whether the ships disappear. Ah, yeah. The Gnosis. So the Gnosis has basically no ship requirement to enter and to fly it. I mean, Spaceship Command level 1, you get that when you make a character. It has bonus for almost every kind of weapon system, so armor tanking, shield tanking, drones, hybrids, missiles, autocannons, I mean projectiles, can fit anything on here, lasers. But not all of them are equally effective. The reason that I found usually autocannons / drones and missiles / drones the most effective versions, but and I usually shield tank these things. But you can do all sorts of stuff with this. For a new player, this is like the best ship to get early. Go to level 4s. I think I'm still missing one ship. Which ship? Oh, yes. The Abaddon. Now, the Abaddon suffers from having 8 guns that use capacitor, the energy turrets, so lasers, being incredibly slow, and having a bad capacitor, as well as maybe not enough fitting to compensate. You can make this thing very tanky, you can make this thing do decent amounts of DPS, but making this thing tanky and do good DPS while moving, that's a little too much. You have to almost sacrifice one of those, or compromise on all of them. I love the looks of the ship. It does have the sexiest broadside in game, but yeah, it needs to pay for that broadside, sadly. Onwards to the tier that has, honestly, by far the most amount of ships in it, and that's a good thing because that is the B tier, which I consider not bad but good. I could name this a G tier, but then nobody would understand the tier list. This is a solid tier. So B tier, I would put the Absolution. The Absolution is again a straight up upgrade from the line of the Harbinger Navy Absolution. Command ship gets tier 2 resists, can bring 2 command links. Has a good tank, very good DPS, its capacitor got boosted and damage got also boosted in, I believe, the 2-week Revenant patch. It has a good tank. You can go Pulse with this, but with Pulse I would not pull the whole mission, I would just take care, depending on your skills, how you fly it. Be ready to snap frigates and get out, if needed. It should not be needed, but I would still fly this with beams and mid to long range. This can get away with a lot more than the others though. Also requires high skills. But it's a very solid mission ship. The next one, I would argue, would be the nope. There's so many ships. I'm not gonna go do them in order, I guess. The B tier, B tier, B tier. Yeah, the Armageddon. Now, the Armageddon is an interesting ship. You can fit, I believe, missiles and lasers to it. I believe it even gets bonuses for both. Of course, it's an armor tank. It's best used for me as a sniper. You don't want to face tank with an Armageddon. Again, you don't want to put a micro overdrive on it if you go close. And if you go sniping far away, you can put it on, but don't use it all the time, because it booms your signature. You can load sentries, can load heavies, big fat massive drone bay, good DPS with the missiles, decent with the lasers. It is a solid, decent, good mission runner. A good starter if you want to get into a battleship. The next one was also a surprise to me. Similar to the broadsword, it's a devoter. The devoter has excellent DPS, accuracy, good tank. It is a heavy interdiction cruiser, uses lasers and has a flight-to-flight drones, I believe so. Devoter is a solid pick, even though maybe a little weird. Its counterpart, essentially, as in the other Mauer hull, would be the Sacrilege. I also put the Sacrilege in B tier. Reason being that its DPS is decent / good. I mean, with heavy assaults, it's I would say mid. But this thing has a very solid tank. Sacrilege is a very tough ship. And it can also run abyssals very easily, up to tier 5 I believe. Tier 6 I would no longer do with it. Stuff has changed in that regard, so I rank it at B because there's just better stuff at A. But it's a very solid pick. The next one would be the Cerberus. Again, same reasoning as a Sacrilege, good DPS, decent tank on it. Cerberus is a lot more mobile, shield tank versus armor tanks, also missiles, so heavy assault missiles have decent range on it, decent DPS, but you need to get to your target. So you can use this with heavies and with heavy assaults, both do the missions just fine. The next one would be the Drake Navy issue. I can sum this up in a single sentence. It's a Drake but better. More DPS, better tank, a good flight of drones. That is a Drake Navy issue. It deserves B tier, whereas the other one deserves C tier. It's a straight up upgrade. Now, the next one is a ship that I absolutely love the skin of. Another heavy interdiction cruiser. And that would be the Onyx. So the Onyx is very good with heavy assault missiles. Had most fun with heavy assault missiles and macro warp drive on this thing. You don't run a macro warp drive constantly, you just do it to get into your range and then you just blast them. It does not get drones, it gets a really good shield tank. Of course, capacitor is good. I just straight up love the Onyx. The next one would be another battleship that I recommend for anybody who wants to go missiles in Caldari. Like almost the staple cookie cutter, really awesome mission runner. Oh, yeah, my mouse slipped. That's what they all say. The Raven. So the Raven I would use as a sniper with a jump drive. I mean sniper, cruise missile fit, stay at range. You have the range to cover the whole battlefield. And it's low skill. I mean, the entry level is low skilled. So the Raven is the start of the battleship line up to the Marauder, I would say, for Caldari. And then we have the Widow. No, Boga, this is not PoE 2. I'm doing the content I wanted to do today. I did turn alerts off for this. I will turn them on when I'm done. This is basically the end result of all the ship mission testing that I've done over the past 6 to 8 months. So, if you have feedback, it's welcome, but yeah. I'm now in the B tier essentially with the Widow. No ciffies, I'm sorry, but that's denied. But welcome, good evening. Good try. I can't die as I'm technically not even in space. But the Widow is honestly for me B tier, next to the Raven. Has about the same DPS. Excellent passive tank on this thing. This thing is tough. Please don't try, I don't want to remove people today. It shouldn't work, honestly. And don't waste your bits today. I would say don't waste it, because it costs cash. I would not, not feel guilty, but I did put it in the title, so for a reason. Good evening, Caroline. Yeah, the Widow is the best Black Ops for missions, I would say. Strangely enough. The Widow is a very expensive ship. I would not use it for missions, do not suggest it. But I had a lot of fun with it, and oh, that skin is so nice. I cruise myself with my my Widow. Let's see, B tier. Next up we have the Scorpion Navy issue. I would put it B tier. It can run the missions really well. It has decent DPS, decent tank, but some missions can still break the tank. If you passive fit a Scorpion Navy issue, the tank can still be broken. It is not a guarantee, but it's a solid ship. Like a lot of ships here, you can break the tank. The Raven, for example, as well, but the Raven sits at range usually. I used mine with mostly cruise missiles and a passive tank on the Scorpion. Yeah, I need to look at what I've prepared because there's too many ships in this game. I would lose track and never get out of it. The Rock. Next up is the Rock. I had a lot of fun with this ship. Once again, similar to the Eagle, I've done a blaster fit, I've done a rail fit. The blaster fit, similar to the Eagle, I would suggest high skills. This thing has Tech 1 resists, it is not that tanky. Blasters on the Rock, get the range bonus. It's a lot of fun. But high skills. The Rock I would use as the sniper battleship essentially. With the rails you can sit at 100 plus kilometers easily if you have the lock range. And just let everything come to you and grab the frigates first is my suggestion. Do fit a jump drive because a micro warp drive might get you killed. It's Tech 1 battleship. Entry level I would say low to medium skills because you do need some gunnery skills. But it's for me a solid B tier. The next one would be a Galente ship. So many ships! What is it? The Demos. Lots of fun with this thing. You can fit blasters, you can fit rails. It's up to you. I fit rails in this thing and a micro warp drive because heavy assault cruisers CCP reintroduced the 50% reduction on the signature penalty for micro hard drives. So they're not as punishing on these ships as on most other ships. So you can use it. You can zip around, stuff will chase you, which means your guns will track it all the better. Does get a flight of drones, gets Tech 2 resists, can fit an assault damage control if you're desperate or your skills are not good enough. You can fit it and it's a blast to fly. My suggestion is railguns though. And then, yeah, we have a double team. The Myrmidon and the Myrmidon Navy. Honestly, I would put them both in the same tier. Just because I cannot justify putting the Myrmidon Navy issue in the A tier. I've done level 4 missions very easily with the Myrmidon, Tech 1 battlecruiser. It is like great. The only thing you should know about the Myrmidon, the regular one, please fit it as a kiting ship. Don't go brawling with a Tech 1 battlecruiser in a level 4 mission. It has a solid flight of drones, you can fit guns on it. So stuff that gets to you, you can track him and kill him. And yeah, it has a decent tank, don't overdo it. If you kite, it should be fine. You also shouldn't try to engage the whole room at once. That's, unless you're in an overpowered ship with good skills, shouldn't do that anyway. The Myrmidon Navy issue is a straight up upgrade. Better guns, drones and more damage, tank is much better on it, very agile ship, got buffed recently, more agile, more tank, more speed, because it wasn't used enough, and the only reason, in my opinion, that the Myrmidon Navy issue wasn't used enough, not because it wasn't good, it's because there was in this line, a similar ship around for ages that a lot of people have skilled into already, and that has become a staple for a lot of good content. PvE, PvP, both of them. And that would be the EOS. Because the EOS was around and a lot of older players skilled into that one and does make fleets and doctrines with that one. This one was a bit overlooked. Because this one much cheaper and really, really good. It did not need the buff, but I'm happy it got it. Because this thing is fantastic. The next one for the B tier for me would be the Tech 1 battleship Megatron. Good mission runner, solid mission runner. Again, Tech 1 battleship hull. I wouldn't go brawling with this thing, just fit it with rails, see that range. I use afterburner jump drive because, well, I want to be able to get the hell out and save my ship if it needs to be. Which is something that I cannot do with a micro warp drive because frigates will keep up. And they will point me. That's just my experience. But easy to get into, you don't need that much skills, the more the better of course. But the lower your skills are, the farther away from the mission you want to be. My advice. Because if you're really far, you don't have to tank much. If you go close, your tank needs to be better. Because everything will hit you and track you at that point. The other one that I would put next to it is the other Tech 1 battleship for the Caliente. The Dominix. Now this thing is a classic. The oldest potato on the block. I love this ship and I hate this ship. I've spent many hours in PvP fleet doctrines as well, which is where the negativity comes from, not the PvE. PvE wise, this is great. You can fit this with sentries, and you technically don't even need to fit guns. You can just sit at range, drop sentries and just flap stuff or let the sentries do their thing. If you use sentries, I would put a jump drive because you never want to be close range then. You can put some guns on it or a civilian gun to point your drones in some directions. This is you can do a lot with the Dominix, but it's only B tier in my eyes because there's just better stuff out there. Let's see, what else have I got? Oh yeah, I forgot one, the Prophecy Navy issue. Prophecy Navy issue is a better prophecy. Very good drone ship, but what makes the Prophecy Navy issue special is the fact that it gets its bonuses for energy turrets and lasers. Now, this thing is a very good kiter. I believe, I need to double check, beam lasers on it and 100 mm, I believe. I mean, I don't have the time to check everything because then it's gonna... This tier list will take me another 2 hours extra, and I kinda wanna get through this. That is the spreadsheet that I just linked with everything in it. It's actually complete, finally. There's also all the fits. If there are comments or feedback or complaints, you can also find there where to address them. And I'm okay to change my fits, no problem. I would love it. Too many ships, so let's go for the next one. The Brutix Navy issue. I put the Brutix Navy issue in the B tier. It's not super good of a ship, but it's a lot better than, of course, the Brutix. It's a straight up upgrade, does the same things, good kiter, good with railguns, slightly better tank. I think it's a little bit faster, I'm not sure on that one, but this runs like a little bit better than the Brutix. Still wouldn't go blasters with this thing. If you go blasters with this one, you might end up having the same DPS in some cases as the rail version because you need to up your tank as a result. So that's up for whoever wants to do that gameplay. Everybody plays different, so I know Vanity will hate me for this probably, but I put the Astarte basically a little bit above the Brutix. Not good enough in my eyes for A tier, but it's better than the Brutix Navy issue. Obviously, you can bring double command links on this. Plays exactly like a Brutix and a Brutix Navy, exact same fitting, almost. Better resists, better DPS, better tank. If you want the best from that line, the Astarte is definitely where you go. Absolutely, this command ship is better than the others. As it should be, but not always the case. Culture's a disappointment, Claymore's a disappointment. Damnation's a disappointment. So... let me see... oh yeah, then we have the Minotaur ships, the... Typhoon. Typhoon is one of the ships I absolutely love to fly. I use it, I believe yeah, I'm not... Let me open the spreadsheet, damn it. Let me see, I don't remember if I armor or shield tank this thing, because you can do both technically. Armor tank with missiles, okay, no. So the Typhoon is a solid B tier for me. It's a very good ship, looks fantastic, that's opinion. I use it with cruise missiles. Technically you can use torpedoes as well, but then you need to go a little closer. This thing's Tech 1 battleship hull does not have super high resist, so bear in mind if you have low skills, don't face tank the whole mission. It will not hold up. After that I have the Maelstrom, which is the Minotaur's, basically, I would say, artillery platform. I also haven't even tried Maelstrom with autocannons because it just doesn't fit the tank to take the return fire. You would need to go in really close with autocannons, and this thing cannot take hits. Solo. Leads it can. But this I use with a jump drive. I think it's a large shield booster, and 1400s. I'm gonna correct one mistake I made earlier. I put the broadsword in C, the broadsword should be B tier. Broadsword should be B tier. The reason is, I confuse it with the Munin. Because they look exactly the same. The Munin should be C tier. The broadsword is B tier. I knew I was gonna make a mistake with so many ships. Had to happen. So anyway, Munin is C tier. Because the Munin I failed a couple of times. I tried shield tanking it, it just doesn't have the tank. If you armor tank your Munin and put heavy assaults on it, you can get it to the C tier. If you want to shield tank this, I would put it in F tier. It just doesn't hold up, you need to warp out all the time. You got the DPS, but you can't hold. The next one is a Tempest. Tempest similar to the Typhoon. Don't go face tanking with this thing. Take one battleship hull, take one resist. Low entry level. I would fly this like you fly the Megatron. With artillery. And jump drive. You want to zip around the battlefield, always be at range. You do have drones to kill frigates. But if it's a sizable mission, I think most people that run missions know how fast light drones can disappear. So don't put all your hopes on your light drones, because they definitely disappear. Very solid ship though, good tank, good DPS, low skill entry level. The higher your skills are, the more you can get away with. Still would not use the regular Tempest without the cannons, honestly. For the harder missions, you'll have a hard time. The easy missions, do whatever, you'll do it. Let's see. Oh yeah, the second Black Ops that I put in the B tier would be the Panther. I had a lot of fun with the Panther. Again, ship meant for PvP, not PvE. Way too expensive, but it does decently do the mission. It can tank, it can do DPS. I fit it without the cannons because artillery was a bit slow. But it can do it. Tech 2 resists. If you have money to spare, you have multiple buildings, you don't know what to do with it, you want to do something stupid that's not very effective. Buy Panther. Best use for PvP in Black Ops. What it's meant for. Now, the next one, even though CCP nerfed this one a little bit, Cyclone Fleet issue I still consider way superior than the Claymore. The DPS is better, the tank is about the same, except it has Tech 1 resist, yet the tank is about the same. Still can fit a 100 men on this, just not in PvP anymore I believe, which was a concern. But for PvE it still works, you need to make a tiny sacrifice somewhere and you hardly notice it. Really solid ship, definitely recommend. The next one I have is the best ship for level 4 to start out as a new player. I don't like the looks, but it's a Praxis. With a Praxis you can do a lot of stuff, whatever you want, hardly need any skills to fly this thing. The more skills you have, the better this becomes. Like if you only have a few skill points and you got a Praxis, still don't fly level 4s. Level 4s are not that easy, you do need some skills. I've tested this with autocannons, beam lasers and artillery, and cruise missiles. And the lasers and the cruise missiles were actually the best option. My opinion. You can fit whatever you want on it, everything can do it, it may just be a little bit more annoying, but you can do it. Armor, shield, both work. So obviously, a web is not even at range, so if you web something you want to blast it. And if you have rails, kind of hard. So blaster fit, it's fun to fly. You have to go in deep. I do hate the dying, but I know what it was and I fixed it. It's fixed, it's fine. So the Vindicator is, I would say, a solid B pick, but the ship is expensive. Ship is expensive, so that's why it's only a B. The other one would be the other Serpentis hull, Vigilant, Vindicator and Vigilant. The Vigilant, I actually lost the ship when testing. I fitted a micro warp drive on this thing. Yeah, the Vigilant, I fit blasters on it with a micro warp drive, which was a bad call. I tested it again and I fit blasters with a afterburner. That works because the ship still has decent resists, decent tank, and a lot of DPS and excellent webs. The Vigilant is a nice one, but it's not a Tech 2 hull. The next one would be the Sisters of Eve battleship, the Nestor. Like the Nestor, I find a really cool ship. It is usually armor tanked. It's great with sentries and beam lasers to sit at range and just nuke your target from a distance. Now, the Nestor has something special. It has a ship maintenance bay. Or a ship, yeah, I believe. Something similar. Essentially what it is, within 2,500 kilometers of the Nestor ship, you can refit as if you had a fitting service. As if you had a mobile depot or an Orca, as it were, you can refit. So if you have a Nestor in your whole fleet can refit as long as it's within that distance of the Nestor. Which is also the reason why people use it that much in the past. Other than it having a really solid bonus for remote repairs, capacitor, and it's really good in group. But solo, it's still a B. It's a good ship. The next mission ship is one that I had a lot of questions about. It is a industrial command ship, the Orca. The Orca, I find a very good mission runner. But the drawback of the Orca is it's stationary, because it has an industrial core and it needs to basically deploy to get its drone bonuses out. Yes, the industrial core gives bonuses to ice harvesting, mining, but also drone hit points and drone damage. Which is something a lot of people seem to forget or not realize. And with good skills, you can get the bonus on the drones up to 1000 DPS plus, with just medium drones. Now medium drones apply really well. The Orca itself is tough enough, the Orca can tank. But even Agila, with the medium drones, gets what, 600 DPS with the drones? This thing gets over 1000. Okay, it doesn't have any other weapon systems, but there's a drawback. And yes, it enters warp slowly, it comes out of warp slowly, it's not the most agile ship, but I would suggest with the micro warp drive, pulse it and you'll enter warp a lot faster. You'll find that it's not that slow though. It's just funny to run Orca missions, and it actually isn't really bad at all. It just requires some skills to set up essentially. The other one I would put there is the Enforcer. The Enforcer is my favorite fits were with autocannons and heavy assault missiles and shield tanked. Because this is another ship where you can fit technically everything. But the Enforcer only fly it when you have a very good security status. Because if you don't, this thing will absolutely suck and die. That's typical for the Concorde ships. Another one I put in B tier is the newest ship, or one of the newest, the Cenotaph. I had a lot of fun testing this ship and testing the breacher pods. Now, the breacher pods are not worth launching on small targets or below battlecruiser hulls, I would say. On battleships, these are the best. But even then, depending on how prices settle, the ship when I got it was 3.3 billion. And it was 2.2 million for a single breacher pod to launch. That is not worth it for 4 missions. I just did it for testing and I'll probably not do it again. But even if you take that off, you still have 900 DPS with the heavy assault missiles and the autocannons, which it also gets bonuses for. So this ship is very much a close range battlecruiser. Now the thing about it is it's a cover top ship, so technically you could warp into your mission cloaked and just approach cloaked and treat it like PvP if there's no acceleration gate, but there's no point really. It's a good shield tanker. Excellent damage, close range. Then I have a few ships that I put on the edge of A and B tier. One of them would be the Legion. The reason I put the Legion in B tier is because Legion you have almost 2 options. Or you go energy turrets or you go missiles and drones. The reason it's B tier is because of the energy turrets. When you go for the liquid crystal magnifiers, liquefaction, yeah, energy gun subsystem, you don't get any flight of drones, not even a light drone flight. So you cannot track your targets. If frigates come on top of you, you will not be able to track them. They will go under your guns and you'll have to warp out or just sit there, if they let you warp out. That's the main drawback of this one. As long as frigates don't get to you, this version is fine. Now with missiles, you have the same tank, you have a little bit lower DPS in general, with the heavies essentially. But the heavies have good range, good projection, and the heavy assaults you need to go a little bit closer, a bit more DPS, but you have to get closer. But what you do get with the missile version of the Legion is a flight of medium drones. And those drones can take care of the frigates. Legion gets, I even believe, 3 flights of medium drones with the missile subsystem, so it's a solid drone bay. That's why the Legion for me is between A and B. Now, another ship I would rank between A and B is gonna be where is it? Should be in here, right? Oh yeah, the Marshall. Now, I'm not rich enough to own a Marshall, so I didn't test this myself, but a friend has tested the Marshall a few times, and okay, it was a torpedo fit, so not everything got tested, so I have to go off what he gave as feedback, plus some Wi-Fi warrioring essentially. It's definitely a good ship. I would put it between A and B, because he had a very good experience with it, but not all fits on its work. Needs excellent security status, preferably maxed. It also is a very expensive. It is by far the most expensive ship on the list. It is a Black Ops battleship. It is again not meant for missions really. So flight is at your own risk. I'm not recommending a Marshall for missions. There is stuff that is a fraction of the cost and does it better. But yeah, if you're rich and you want to throw away money, I guess these things also attract the wrong people, but that's up to you. I'm not recommending it. That concludes for me. Let me check. I think I left a few ships out. There are a few ships still missing. Yeah. The Phobos. Phobos is a heavy interdiction cruiser for the Galente. It does not get a flight of drones. I used this one with blasters I believe, and I went in close. Has a really solid tank, Tech 2 resists. Does require medium to high skills, also because it's a heavy prediction cruiser. This thing is not recommended for missions really, but it does it fine. I mean, it's a bit weird to do missions, but it's a good ship. The last one for the B tier would be something I always take out when there are no acceleration gates. It's the only freighter on the list, the Avalanche. The Avalanche is one of my favorites to run. It has a insane amount of hit points, very beefy ship. Gets a bonus specifically to auto-targeting cruise missiles. Or auto-targeting missiles in general. You can get a easy 1200 TPS out of those missiles. My advice is if you run this with auto-targeting missiles, also bring a set of regular, because auto-targeting missiles do not always attack all the structures you need for missions. So you may have to actually target at some point. The tank is fine. The major downside for the Avalanche in a level 4 mission would be it cannot enter an acceleration gate. So you're limited to the type of missions you do with this thing. The other downside, I would argue, is the speed. Obviously, speed and agility. It is a freighter. It is technically a capital ship in high sleek. But it can run the missions. Blockade is fine. Damsel in distress is fantastic. I do recommend high skills with the ship, with the freighter skill and auto-targeting missiles for this one. Just don't even try if your skills are lower than level 3. Even at level 3, I would not suggest it, at least level 4. It's not something you would run on a regular. So I don't really recommend the Avalanche, it's just a fun gimmick. And that was a B tier. So from now on, it's only ships that are really good at missions. And I see that I've forgotten some other ships already. Because they're not on my old tier list, but I'll get to those. Those are the ships I've tested the last. I'll do them now because I'm gonna leave the good ships to the side. So that would be the Arazu in D tier. The Arazu kind of sucks. It is a Force Recon cruiser, warp cloaked, has barely enough tank to survive the harder level 4 missions. The only way I can get any DPS out of it that would break all the ships is go blasters, and blasters mean point blank range, and the tank is only barely good, so, and that's with maxed out skills. I have Recon 5. Absolutely not recommend, but I have to mention that it can technically run the mission. Same applies for the other one, Lachesis. Again, D tier. Basically exactly the same tank. Again, blasters to get any DPS out of it. Same pitfalls, same reasoning, just terrible. The next one that I would put in the D tier would be the Falcon. The reason I put the Falcon in the D tier is it has the worst TPS of everything for the recon ships. Its tank is worse than these two. And yeah, the Falcon is just a no-go. But it can do it. I've done the missions that I tested with it, I've done them, even though I was in them at least 3 times longer than I should be with other ships. But still can do them. So D is definite, absolute, not recommend. Only for people that are a bit masochistic and look for challenges, not for efficiency. Next one in the D tier would be the Rapier. This is a missile ship. I had to fit heavy assaults for the DPS. This tank often fails. It's barely adequate, it's even lower than the Falcon, but the DPS is better, so it's a give or take. Rapier, absolute fucking not recommended. Stay away from this for missions. There's another Minotaur one that's equally bad, that would be the Hugin. Same thing, terrible tank, autocannons, that's the only way you get DPS. Sucks for missions, use it for the role that's intended, PvP. PvE, this thing really sucks. There are a few rookie recon ships that are actually good enough for the C tier. First one of those would be my favorite recon ship to fly. Where did it go? The Rook. The Rook has a very solid tank, has decent DPS with heavy assault missiles, and actually is around the mark with the heavy missiles even. And with the heavy missiles you get like 71 kilometers of range, because this thing gets a range boost to your missiles, so heavy assault missiles on the Rook will actually be good. There are two others that I'm just gonna list at the same time, also C tier. The Amar ones, both of them, Curse and Pilgrim. They both fly exactly the same, they both have most of their DPS in the drone bay, they both are good for kiting, and the only difference between those two is the slot layout. The Pilgrim has one extra loss slot, I believe, I'm not 100%, but I just use it for capacitor, where I use something else for capacitor on the Curse in the mid slot, so it balances out. Curse is missiles, Pilgrim is lasers. So with the Pilgrim I used pulse lasers, because I'm a kiter. I don't have a super tank, so any frigate that comes in to annoy me or web me needs to die yesterday. So that's why I fit pulse with this, in the hope that I can still track them somehow when they come in. And the Curse rapid light missile launchers, because same reasoning, frigates are absolute the enemy. Let me double check, I believe that's the lower end, all done. No, it is not. I would put the Vedmak in C. Actually high C. High C, low B. And I'm gonna double check whether I'm right on that one. Because I did test them before, but my mind is a bit fuzzy today, so played too much other games. Sorry. Yeah, Vedmak is a C. That's what yeah, I'm correct, okay. Where did I put it? I lost the Vedmak. I put it down in a C tier. The reason I put the Vedmak in C tier is not because it doesn't tank. Well, the way I see it, F for me is an absolute fail. This is for me solo. Like my main condition is no implants, solo. In a fleet, anything can work. If you bring 50 Stormbringers, you're gonna obliterate the mission, so... it has to have enough DPS to clear the hardest mission rats, which I value around 400 DPS, give or take. That's my experience. F is for me a fail, just don't ever unlock this for level 4 mission solo. D would be, can do it, but you need high skills, or you're gonna take an extremely long time to get it done. These things or need high skills or barely have the DPS. There are a few exceptions like the Oracle, the Naga, you know, like, but those things, they're very squishy and they just need to jump and be at range. So C, I would say, is the decent tier. Everything in C, you run it decently. With the exception of the Curse and the Pilgrim, because you need high skills for those, but if you have the high skills, you still can do the mission okay. B, I would say suggested and good. These are like, for me, the average, okay, good ships. Most of these can be flown with low skills, or decent skills. There are a few exceptions. Yeah, this is for mission running, yeah. So the Marshal obviously is only B tier for mission running. This is not a Black Ops in here. For PvP there is no real tier, I would say, because that depends on situation and composition and enemy, so it's impossible to do. Missions are static, so Here you can actually do it. For me, A tier are the really good ships. The really good ships that are not Marauders. S tier I could have renamed Marauder. There's only 4 ships in S tier for the 4 Marauders. They are that good that they need their own tier. But the Vedmak, good tank, good kiter, decent short mid-range. The drawback for the Vedmak is the disintegrator. It has a multiple minute spool up. You can go really high with a Vedmak in DPS, but you will have to have a lot of patience, and everything will have been dead minutes ago by the time it reaches its spool up. This thing doesn't die, but it's slow because of the DPS ramp up being so low at the start and taking so long. Let me... So that's... Wait, quickly gonna pull something up. I did prepare everything, but yeah. Let me see. I think I'm looking at the wrong image. Yeah, there's one more that I need to rank in the B tier, which would be another Black Ops ship. The Sin. I had a lot of fun testing the Sin for a mission, but I fit it with a jump drive and long range sentries and some railguns. I fit this really long range because the Sin in missions the tank does not hold up. I would use it as a sniper, or not at all, or not at all. It's still a Black Ops. Don't use Black Ops for missions. Too expensive. It can do it, which is why I had to test it. That was kind of the thing I was going for. But it's one of the better ones. The Sin, the Panther, and the best one in my eyes, the Widow. Yeah, up here. Those are the best ones. Check. Yeah. The others are A or S tier. So let me check the... Yeah, the Drekavac is another one I would put B tier. Simply because the Leshak is just better. But the Drekavac is a really good ship. Suffers a little bit from the same thing as a Vedmak, although the DPS on this one is already a lot higher. Darts higher, spools higher. Also has, as the Vedmak, a good flight of drones. If you're 100 men, good tank. I had a lot of fun with the Drekavac. But A tier, I would put the APOC Navy issue. The Apocalypse Navy issue. Really good sniper. Just a straight up upgrade from the Apocalypse down here. Better tank, very good with beams. I also tried the Pulse version with a macro war drive cap stable. If you have good skills, you can get away with it. Because macro war drive on a battleship makes it almost carrier size, and everything will hit it really, really hard. And Pulse also, yes, tracking is a little better. But you're closer to your enemy, so you get hit a lot more, and okay, you're fast, but tanking in a battleship with a micro war drive doesn't always cut it. This thing does not have a tank for it, so only high skills. Lower skills, I would go beam and sniper. The other more battleship I would put next to that is a Armageddon Navy issue. Really solid drone bay. And I need to look up what my notes are, because there's been so many ships, I don't want to get confused and say something wrong. Armageddon Navy issue. Drones and missiles is what I use it with. I may need to look in game, but I'm not sure it can even fit. Because I'm not currently in game. I am in. They kicked me out of EVE Online in the meantime. Funny. As well, let's launch again. I believe it can fit guns as well. But I used missiles, I used cruise missiles and rapid heavy missile launchers. I tested both of those with sentries and with heavies. I would still use this at range as a bit of a sniper. Don't go brawling with this thing. It's not, the tank still isn't that. I'm not sure about this one. I think it's the Nighthawk. I would rank the Nighthawk between A and B. It's a bit, the DPS isn't quite up there, but the tank is. It's a really solid tank, one of the best command ships in my opinion for PvE. I'll put it in the A tier, because you do need some skills to fly it, so I'm assuming you have missile skills at that point. If you go through the Drake. Quickly gonna look up the Armageddon again. I'm sure you can fit lasers on it as well. It may not have bonuses for it though. 10% bonus to large energy turret rapid and large energy turret as well. So you can choose really with the Navy. I just didn't get the DPS out of it with the turrets that I got with the missiles. Also, the turrets are damage locked, the missiles are not. That's why I went missiles. It's just more convenient. But that's up to everybody for themselves. Because everybody's skills are different. Now, the next one I would put the Raven Navy issue. Straight up upgrade over the Raven. It gets a little bit more DPS, and where the Raven Navy issue is different is it gets a missile application bonus. So this one will apply better to the enemy, and that will have as a result that it will kill faster. Also smaller targets. Now the Raven is a fantastic mission runner. The Raven Navy issue is a straight up upgrade. I use mine I believe with, I think, micro warp drive, jump drive, large shield booster because I'm never really having to be close, and yeah, cruise missiles because I can shoot anything from anywhere. Always in range, and they apply still reasonably well. The next one would be for me the Tengu. The Tengu is just overall a good ship. The fit I used for the last 8 or 9 years, always been the same ship, was heavy missiles, because I'm lazy. I can walk in, I can sit there, or I can move, it doesn't matter, it tanks enough, and I can most of the time hit everything in range from there. Sometimes I need to move 20 kilometers, but that's it. And it has 650 DPS with heavy missiles, more than good enough. I've also tried the Blaster Tengu, which, even though it's a lot of fun, tanks the exact same amount so you will not die, it's a lot more work because you need to fly around a lot more. Blasters are just close range, some targets run away. It's a bit of a cat and mouse game, but it's a lot of fun, it's an active gameplay. The railguns also work, but you have a bit of a tracking issue when they get close. And the Tengu does not get drones, so railguns are probably the least for PvE. For solo. If you have other people take care of the frigates, perfect. Heavy assault missiles is basically you fly close, you blast them, you move on. Better DPS, worse application, but really kills it. for me, Tango is always going to be at the top, or one near the top. The other one I put right up there would be, of course, the other one, the Proteus. Proteus is also a fantastic ship, very versatile, can go blasters, can go rails. The one I enjoyed most was a Mach water drive fit combining a big drone bay with railguns. That was what I enjoyed most, but you can fit this however you like. It is a very solid A tier, really good for PvE. PvP also, but that's much harder to track. The other one I would put up there, of course, is gonna be the Loki. A lot of fun with autocannons, a lot of fun with heavy missiles, a lot of fun with heavy assault missiles. Artillery, yes, although the alpha is not as big as it could be. For PvE at least, for PvP, artillery is of course very satisfying. If you hit, it's massive. I believe I shield tanked all my Lokis, armor tanked all the Proteus, shield tanked all the Tangos. Alerts are off, mate, but good try. I'll put them back on when I'm done. I'm not gonna get a word in if alerts were on. That's just past experience. The next one that I would put in the A tier, of course, is still a lot of ships to go, to be honest. The Ishtar. But the Ishtar essentially for me is no-brainer, A tier. One of the best heavy assault cruisers, really good drone application, solid tank, very good kiter. You can put guns on this or you don't. It works either way. There's a very good reason that in nullsec, I don't know if it still is, but this used to be one of the most common ratters we found. Everybody was AFK circling their Ishtars. So, I don't know, some people just like boring gameplay, I guess. But I shield tank that one for the missions, because shield tank allows me to put more DPS in the low slots, which makes the mission go faster. Now the next Calenta ship that I had a ton of fun with and has actually, despite me not liking the hull, become one of my favorites is the Dominic's Navy issue. Since I had a Dominic's fit as a long range and I had a Sin fit as a long range, I wanted to do something different with the Dominic's Navy issue. Also because it gets bonuses to drones with a large drone bay, and it gets bonuses on top for hybrid turrets. So what if I go brawl in this one? I just go in. I put blasters on this thing and heavy drones as a main DPS. This thing is so much fun. It has the tank to keep up. The DPS is really high with the blasters and the heavies combo. You can put an omnidirectional tracking link in the mid, so your heavies actually track quite well. It's just, this thing is fantastic. Can't say much bad about the Dominic's Navy issue, honestly. Other than it's not Marauder. And the best command ship, I would argue, for PvE, would also be Galente. That would be the EOS. The EOS is fantastic. You can bring a double command link. It's an excellent kiting ship. Has Tech 2 resists, very good tank on this. Awesome drone DPS. You can put guns on it if you want. Again, as with most of these ships, you don't even have to. It's just extra. I guess it depends on your fitting and skills, but to each person that's different. The EOS is just fantastic, but again, not as good as a Marauder. That's why it's only in the A tier. The next one would be the Megatron Navy issue. Also a really good one. straight up upgrade from the Megatron. Better guns, better DPS, better tank. It's just overall an upgrade. Works the same way in my eyes. Not sure you want to go blasters with the Megatron Navy issue, but maybe you could. The Dominix has the mobile DPS and the drones to support the blasters. The Megatron Navy issue doesn't quite have that drone bay, so it needs more travel time. With the Dominix you can get away with sitting somewhere and being out of range and your drones hitting the target. With the Megatron you need to do it yourself. That's why I would use this one more as a real ship. Unless you want a challenge. Or if you're a group, doesn't matter, yeah. Let me see. Oh yeah, next up is another command ship I absolutely love. Lepnir. Also very much goes into the A tier. This thing works with both artillery and autocannons. Autocannons for the super high DPS. Has a solid tank, whether you fit autocannons or artillery. This thing, very strong shield tank, and with artillery the alpha is very satisfying. Very satisfying. There's nothing quite as just hitting a button and your target just disappearing, or hitting like 3/4 of the battleship health in one shot. It's just... But the reload. Oh, the reload. Next one would be the Vagabond. The Vagabond is another one of those heavy assault cruisers that just... I don't see anything wrong with this ship. It has a good tank, excellent speed tanker. With autocannons it's just really high DPS. You can also run this with artillery, but it just screams autocannons. Also, this is a ship used in the Abyss up to tier 6. I can do all tiers. I've done it myself in the Abyss. It is a blast, honestly. Cannot recommend enough. Now, the next ship would be the battleship, the Typhoon Fleet issue. This thing I tested with a cap-stable macro warp drive fit with rapid heavies. Of course you can put an afterburner on it with cruise missiles, you can fit it however you want. But this thing is a very good mission ship. I had a lot of fun zipping around the battlefield at 1400 meters a second with rapid heavy missiles in a battleship. That was fun. Even the Macarial doesn't go cap stable with a macro warp drive. This thing does. And the Macarial is slightly more DPS, but and has other advantages. So the next step would be the Typhoon, Tempest Fleet issue. This one I've tested with autocannons. It's a straight up upgrade from a Tempest. More tank, higher DPS, better application. I just use autocannons because I used artillery on a Tempest. Tempest Fleet issue also works with artillery. It's just same as a Tempest, except it will be better. You can get away with autocannons in this one. Then we have the now we get to the Gurista ships essentially. The Gurista ships, I could put the Gila, Alligator and the Rattlesnake next to each other here. They are all fantastic. Now the Gila is the cheapest. The Gila you can get away with these days a very cheap fit. I suggest a passive tank fit. It gets a massive bonus to the drones, and I usually put rapid light missiles on top to take care of the frigates if they get too close. You can also active tank it. Not to mention that the Gila is the most used ship in the Abyssals, all the way to tier 6 on most filaments except Dark. The Gila is just an all-around fantastic ship. You can active tank it. The Alligator is same drone DPS as a Gila, except you get really good missiles on top, and you can also, I fit my Alligator like half missile, half drone DPS in the lows, because the missiles also do really good DPS, and if you put too many of the same module in the lows, you get diminishing returns, so you end up having a lot more DPS if you split it in the lows. Alligator I use passive tanked, of course. You could get away with an active tank as well, but with an active tank you might run into some fitting issues and you have to like shuffle, and yeah, works really solid with a passive tank. Good range, good DPS, excellent medium drones. And the Rattlesnake is basically just a battleship version of that, except it runs heavies and you can do rapid heavies, cruise missiles and torpedoes on it. All work. Excellent DPS, excellent passive tank. Recently I fit my Rattlesnake active and it works fantastic as well. It's a preference, both work. Most people use the Rattlesnake passive though. Passive Rattlesnake is also cheaper, essentially. It's much cheaper and much more annoying to get rid of. If people want to kill a Rattlesnake and it's passive tanked, it has a beefy set of hit points. Whereas an active one usually doesn't. Next up, the Barghest. Barghest, the Pancake, has other names. I've got mine set up in a micro warp drive, cap stable, large shield booster and cruise missiles. Very, very good range, good speed, doesn't need to tank much because it's such a good kiter. Cap stable micro warp drive. It just zips around the battlefield and just deletes. I love the Barghest. You can also do the same with torpedoes, but your range will just be slightly shorter in replication. It will be worse, but could get away with maybe fitting a target painter instead then. Next up would be the ball gun. This was a surprise to me. I had a ton of fun with the ball gun, testing it, and I have to actually put it in the A tier next to all the other good ships. Ball gun has good DPS. I use it as a beam laser platform and I basically start with it, and if frigates dare to come close, they would get webbed from a very long range, because Blood Raiders, they get a web range bonus, and it is significant if your skills are high enough. And you fit maybe Patchen web. I don't know how long it is, but it's a good range. And at that range your guns often can still track him. Plus gets a decent drone bay, and also if your capacitor is an issue, it's not going to be with the ball gun. You can always suck your cap out of your enemy, even if they don't have any. That's one of the bonuses of a ball gun. I love this thing. Decent tank on it as well. Next up would be the heavy assault cruiser for the Triglavians. That would be the Kitursa. Very solid tank. Also the option for heavy for an assault damage control. The DPS on this thing goes really high. It tracks quite well. Okay, the ramp up is a bit long, as with all the trigs these days. But decent drone bay, good resists. Not much negative to say about this one. Then you have the Angel Battlecruiser, the Gizrael. I've tried this one first with autocannons and I had about close to 1000 DPS in it. And the autocannons even go up to like 58, 59 kilometer fall off, so with barrage. So it's actually mid-range even with autocannons. And it has a decent drone bay, really good shield tank. It warps fast, has the Angel bonus. Definitely recommend for PvE as well. Next to that you have the Macariel, which is the Gizrael but better. Macariel is well known for being a very fast warper. You can have a few fits with these. You could get away with artillery, but I tend to use autocannons. Decent shield tank, not the best tank on this though. I fit it with a macro warp drive, but it's not cap stable, it's just your pell fit and just large autocannons. You have a decent range, you've got good speed, so it's basically to reposition or to kite temporarily. And the Leshak, I should have put this one basically somewhere here, but I'm not ranking them according to power within their tier stats. Nearly impossible. The Leshak is a very solid ship, a bit slow, but a really beefy armor tank. Tracks reasonably well with the disintegrator. Goes ramps up really high, but your targets will be long gone by the time you get there. Just takes a long time. Very good drone bay, solid mission ship. Again, can't say much negative other than it's kinda slow. Next up we have basically the Sunshine ships. The Phantasm and the Nightmare. They're both A tier, they're both very good, very solid. They profit from the Sunshine trait of having a really big capacitor, which means that you can get away with a lot of cap stable fits and heavy cap stable fits on the Phantasm and the Nightmare. These tend to not have really cap issues. The Phantasm, you also get the afterburner bonus. So with the 10 MN on the Phantasm, you basically get almost the speed of a macro warp drive on another ship. Except you don't get the signature blow, which is really awesome. Decent range, good tank on the Phantasm. Such a good tank that I went polarized on my Phantasm. I have a polarized Phantasm. I had to put pulse on it, of course, because there is no polarized beam, sadly. It's fun to fly. Don't suggest polarized because it's a bit of a challenge. You need high skills for that. I would never do that with low skills. Just don't. And you just use the normal version. Still excellent, very good. The Nightmare, similar situation, really solid tank, really good DPS. I used tachyon beams on it because tachyons, good kiter, good set of drones. Actually the Phantasm gets 3 light drones, I believe. Also very good speed with the afterburner on the Nightmare. It's just a good ship. And then we have the Marauder tier. Yeah, S tier is Marauder tier. There's no other way. The Golem, I probably don't need to say much. Works really well with most people I see use a Golem with cruise missiles. You can definitely use it with torpedoes. That's what I've done in the past. Rapid heavies are also decent, but they lack a bit of range. They apply better though. Now, these things have a really solid shield tank when you're in Bastion. Bastion boosts the damage range and the tanking ability of Marauders massively. So the whole fit is centered around Bastion. Drawback is you will have to sit still, you cannot move. But the Golem is a basic missile ship. If you go Galente, you've got the Kronos. The Golem shield tanks, Kronos armor tanks. I mean, maybe you can make it shield tank, but I wouldn't advise. I've seen people use Kronos with blasters, I've seen it used with rails. I believe most people use rails, because it allows, when you're on missions, to just warp in, enter Bastion and blast everything from where you warp in. Everything will be in range, nothing can escape. Even with close range ammo you still get very, very good range on this. Blasters, you have the travel time, you need to fly over, and flying over and Bastion doesn't really work together, so that's a drawback that I see. And then you have like the Varger, which is one of my favorite Marauders. Varger did see a bit of a nerf on the fall off, but I believe that was mostly due to nullsec over abusing the Vargers. it does not affect missioning that much, if at all. I hardly noticed it. I can still warp in, enter Bastion, sit there and blast everything with my autocannons from the warping point. I'm doing a little bit lower DPS because I'm hitting beyond fall off when they're 100 plus, but it's still enough to make him wake up, come towards me, and then I start doing more damage, so it's all good. Also, it's shield tanks basically, projectile guns. You can fit artillery on a Varger, but I don't know, I wouldn't recommend because it just doesn't, I mean, it sits still in Bastion. If you use artillery, you want to be able to kite away so it comes for you, and I haven't tried to Varger with artillery because I don't really believe it's that good. It could be fun to do, the alpha will definitely be enormous. And the last ship on the list would be the Paladin. Now, the Paladin I've been doing a lot of recently is a fantastic ship, armor tanked, 9 uses spells. You can definitely fit beam on this. My armor repairer repairs about 1/3 of my armor every cycle. It's just insane in Bastion. I've been running dual paladins and I cannot follow with targeting in the missions. Marauders are that good. The only drawback I would say for the golem compared to the others is the fact that missiles have travel time. Sometimes you have multiple volleys in the air or space and you need to calculate, is it worth launching or not? Will I move on to the next one? And then it ends up with like 1% health, and that's the major downside for the golem. Major downside for the paladin would be damage block. Same with the Kronos. But they do enough DPS to not give a shit. They will blast through anything. Well, this is basically what I ended up with for a full tier list of every single ship that can run a level 4 solo without implants in Evoline. If there's anything you have a remark on, any feedback, anything you want to see different, maybe a different opinion, feel free. I will post this in the spreadsheet next to the other tier lists. This is essentially the end result of 6 to 8 months of testing for me. I don't believe it's that long. I'm so glad it's done.